Before I get into this video, I just gotta say that if you guys want to read an amazing comic, go ahead and check out Red Rain. It just dropped one of its latest chapter, actually its first chapter, and I actually did enjoy it a lot. So if you guys like the whole, type of American style of manga, American style art, then go ahead and check it out. I enjoy it, so yeah, you guys will probably enjoy it too. But let's get into the video of 7 types of fairy tale fans. Now this video is going to be me discussing the types of fairy tale fans that I've seen after being in this community for a while. These are the type of fans that I've encountered, me personally, that I've ran across. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, number one is the anime only fan, and that's pretty much self-explanatory. These are the people who only seen the anime and they're only sticking by it. And I mean, this is probably one of the biggest fan bases for fairy tale, because there's a lot of people that only fuck with the fairy tale anime. I mean, they don't know what they're missing out on with the manga greatness. Trust me, I try to convince all my subscribers to go read the manga, but there's just some of them that are just like, nah, we're not gonna budge, we're gonna stick with the anime. And I mean, the anime, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but if you want the full experience, man, you gotta move on to the manga. And speaking of the biggest part of the fan base, I'm gonna now talk about the smallest part of the fan base, in my opinion, which is the manga only fans. Now, I know there's a lot of people that have been reading Fairy Tail ever since it just came out, because Fairy Tail, it's a fairly newer series. I believe it came out in around 2006, somewhere around that time. So the internet and stuff, it was blossoming back then. I know a lot of people who tell me stuff like, hey, I've been reading Fairy Tail ever since it dropped, I'm one of the OG Fairy Tail fans. And that's actually kind of spooky to think about it, because Fairy Tail is one of those series whereas if you're a part of it from the beginning, like, it was kind of easy to catch in the beginning. It's not like something like a One Piece or a Naruto that started in like 1990 and you like had to like go and buy the actual thing. Like, no, Fairy Tail, it's still like a 10-year-old series. So the fact that there's only like manga only fans that haven't really checked out the anime, that's kind of cool and and kind of crazy at the same time, excuse me, because we know that the anime gets a lot of hype. So the fact that there's people that only stick to the manga, you gotta give them props. And then there's the hybrid fans, the fans or the category which I fall under, which are the anime and the manga fans. Now, this is probably the second biggest part of the fan base, because of course, I do think that the anime only fan base, it is still the biggest fan base, but the people who can read both the manga and watch the anime, those are the true supporters, because at the same time they're supporting the anime episodes, but they're still reading the manga, they're still buying the volume. So props to them, because they'll be able to go back and tell some of the people who are anime only to be like, oh no, this happened. Like some of the anime onlys don't even know like the difference from filler and stuff. So sometimes you gotta like get in there and say, nah, that ain't really happened. So that's one of the pros about being a hybrid anime and manga fan. Now, the next part is, this one's kind of every fan base, but this is the cosplayers. Now, Fairy Tail, it has some of the biggest and most dedicated fan base I've ever seen with the cosplayers, because these guys go all out for this series. I'm not even gonna lie with you guys, man. Like, there's a hell of good Fairy Tail cosplayers, and there's a lot of bad ones out there. I'm not gonna lie, but some of the most common ones you see are Lucy, Natsu, Gray, Urza, the main characters, and those people are relatively easy to cosplay, especially Gray, because all you gotta do is take your shirt off and boom, you're basically Gray. So yeah, the cosplayers are a huge part of the community. Another part are the tards, or you could call them the fanboys, fairy tards, and this one's kind of used as an insult, but at the same time it's not. I mean, there's a lot of people who hate Fairy Tail. They'll say stuff like, oh, you're just a fairy tard, and that's basically somebody who's like a diehard fan. They think that Fairy Tail's 10 out of 10 perfect, it's their favorite series. And I actually don't mind these guys, because the Fairy Tail tards, they're different from like any other tards, like a Naruto or a One Piece tard. Like, they won't actually attack you, surprisingly. So yeah, the Fairy Tail fanboys, or the tards, if people want to call them, I like to call them fanboys, because tards is kind of like, it's kind of insulting. But yeah, these guys are actually nice, and they're actually a lot of them out there, especially over in America. Now, the next one is kind of a little bit weird. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not into this stuff, but this is the role playing. Now, when I've been online, I've seen a lot of stuff like people role playing as like Natsu, Lucy, and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about people who just like make accounts on YouTube called Natsu Drag Neil or something and just say stuff like, oh, I'm Natsu or something. No, I'm talking about like people who get like into the chats and then they start like, yeah, you guys know what I mean. They start going a little bit wild. They actually believe that they're Natsu, and I mean, if you like doing that in your spare time, don't get me wrong, go ahead and do that. You can do you, but yeah, I'm still gonna be able to say that that's just not my thing. And last but not least, we got the hidden Fairy Tail fans, the closet Fairy fairy tale fans. Now this one is more of the only things that you see in the quote-unquote anime community. Now if you guys don't know, a lot of people online, or not a lot of people, but people who make you who are considered in the YouTube anime community, the Y tag, after the whole fairy tale hate thing went down, a lot of people, they dropped fairy tale and they should have said, you know what, we're done with this trash series, we're no longer reading it. But then there's the people who actually did enjoy it, but due to the fact that fairy tale's getting so much hate, they had to like go away, you know, they had to, you know, shiver down. They can't really say that they like fairy tale, because they do, they're gonna be like, oh, or they're basically gonna get attacked for like a fairy tale. And I'm gonna be honest, if you're one of the people who are like that, that's kind of like I'm sorry, excuse me for being vulgar, but that's like a pussy thing. Because one, you're online, like who cares what people think about your taste? Like the whole thing with like people arguing over anime and manga, I'm done with that phase. Enjoy what you enjoy. Don't be afraid to say that you like fairy tale, because at the end of the day, they're all just manga. It doesn't matter if you're like, oh, One Piece is the best thing, or Naruto's the best thing, or Bleach is the best thing. Like, I'm not gonna argue with people anymore. If people hate fairy tale, I don't get into arguments anymore. I don't try to be like, oh well, this is one, and like, no, just enjoy what you enjoy. Don't be afraid of basically getting backlash from other people, because at the end of the thing, all you gotta do is just either A, close your laptop, B, exit out, or C, log out, and you'll be fine. But overall, that's basically it for the video. Are there any other type of fans that I missed? Make sure you guys tell me in the comment section down below. Comment what you guys see down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.